everybody, peace and harmony with you here today. Zooming in on really some signs of experiencing covert narcissist abuse. And I'm going to put this over here, the mic. I know people have been saying that we've experienced some wind, so I'm going to just put my glove over this and see if this indeed does help. So I'm zooming in for you today on signs and symptoms of covert narcissist abuse, and really, what are some of the hallmark traits? What are some of the factors? How to arrive at the understanding that perhaps you are encountering narcissistic abuse? We'll realize that the covert narcissist is someone who the main issue, the main problem, is that a narcissist within themselves, they feel that they are superior to others. So they can be highly intelligent, they can be highly productive, they can have a lot of, very admirable qualities in terms of, maintaining a certain lifestyle, absolutely. But what becomes the issue is when you're intimately, you're in intimate relations, either in a family member, in a spouse, in a coworker, in close proximity, who has what we call a heightened sense of self-importance, superiority. The quote-unquote superiority complex, the Machiavellian complex, someone who really feels that they're above the law, above others, and really is prone to exploiting others through various tactics such as pathological lying, trying to make conditions very uncomfortable for them, very distressful, be it through, in the covert means through lack of empathy. So in other words, a sort of austere neglect, a sort of smugness, a sort of withholding of emotional positivity, emotional energy that would create a natural sort of, emotional congruence or feeling of just open communication within that person. So the covert narcissist will tend to be very smug, which means kind of very quiet, but yet have an air of disdain, which basically means having an air of, I don't have time for you. I am not going to greet you. I, in fact, use, the covert narcissist will, in essence, then use their various tools and tactics to exploit and gaslight and brainwash others, namely pathological lying, withholding of information, neglect, which means not attending to someone's basic needs. Neglect is a form of abuse. It's very difficult to pinpoint as compared to things like, domestic violence or spousal abuse, where someone is being slapped, hit, punched, things of that nature. So it's more of an emotional abuse. And this can really take the form of what is called neglect, where someone's basic needs aren't attended to. So that can be verbal, that can be, even just, sorts of general, positivity. So not that someone has to be positive all the time, but if they are engaging in things like smug behaviors, which means creating a constant atmosphere, a feeling like one is less than, judged, or essentially underneath as a subordinate, this can be very distressful when one kind of takes the boss of the household. And sure, of course, in a lot of healthy relationships, there is someone who, might be the breadwinner or takes responsibility for certain things. But we're talking when, in a covert narcissistic abusive relationship where one is overly wielding a use of power and control. So, curtailing certain things, not allowing you to speak, not allowing you to voice your opinion, not creating a place where you're comfortable and able to do this. Things like where, they might control food source, where they complain if you're, having a certain type of food or, take food away from you. You shouldn't be eating that. Especially if you're a grown adult, you should be able to make your own decisions. So we see various control tactics that a covert narcissist spouse will, utilize to keep one under their power and control. And in terms of, the gaslighting, where it's very insidious is when there's truly a neglect or withdrawal of communication, affection, just very general, basic common courtesies that you would expect of a spouse or a family member. And again, not that everybody has to be perfect, but we're really referring here to is a fulfillment of the basic needs. In other words, basic mirroring needs. Hello, how are you? How is your day? Having a moment for you, giving you eye contact, giving you, the pat on the shoulder, inquiring what's for dinner, being together on this, a sort of mutual respect. So the covert narcissist, not only would they withdraw that, but if you definitely feel like there's an insidious sort of judgment going on where, it's very unspoken, but that you're being judged, sort of looked down upon. And with a covert narcissist, they have a very sort of toxic way of doing this, where essentially they keep bottled up so many of their opinions, emotions, and eventually you start to find out that they're engaged in certain behaviors, perhaps cheating, affairs, doing us various other plans that don't involve you, where you should be included or you should be privy and tied into the information. So it's these very subtle abuse tactics which you have to become aware of. And oftentimes a codependent will become very used to this. In other words, they'll subjugate, they'll minimize their needs for the satisfaction of another. And this can actually be very deteriorating to somebody, because really, they end up giving up so much of their personal power or giving up their needs just to fulfill another. And essentially you're not able to grow as a person or fulfill your destiny because you're so under these sort of constraints and limitations in the relationship. You feel like you're confined, you're too constrained. They're putting too many limitations on you strictly for the purpose of them being in control, them being in the power seat, them being above you and being able to call the shots, which absolutely, it can become an abusive situation, especially with a covert narcissist. So please do become aware of this. Be alert to these sort of traits in the covert narcissist, and definitely take steps to secure, your own identity apart from them, and make sure that you're protected on all fronts, be it emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, and financially. We go through many tools here on Peace and Harmony to help you to achieve this, and I also do have individual consultation, so please email me for specifics on that at peaceandharmonynow@gmail.com. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.